Leese Walker is the artistic and producing director of Strike Anywhere Performance Ensemble, a theater company. It's more than a theater company. It's a theater, music, dance, education company in New York City. She's taught at the Roundabout Theater forever as a teaching artist, and now she teaches teachers how to be teaching artists. She taught at BAM, at the Brooklyn Academy of Music, with their Shakespeare program forever. And she and I have many escapades together all over the globe. So I can't wait to talk to her. Leese, are you there?
I sure am. Thank you so much for having me. I feel very honored to be the first guest on the inaugural edition. Thank you.
When we Wikipedia in 10 years, maybe you'll come up like the first guest.
What?
That makes me think of a trivia question. Who was the last guest? Bette Midler on The Tonight Show, I believe, with Johnny Carson. Did I miss anything? Your CV and your resume is really, really long. Did I leave anything out that you're like?
Nah, that was great.
Okay. Tell us about Strike Anywhere Performance Ensemble. It's near and dear to my heart. I could explain it, but I'm sure you'll do a much better job.
Well, I founded Strike Anywhere in 1997. So we're celebrating our 23rd season, and we are an interdisciplinary performance ensemble comprised of musicians, dancers, actors, and visual artists. And we create original work through improvisation.
Improvisation. Why is improv so important to? Okay, we'll get to the fact that it's jazz, and we're going to watch some videos so it will be clear to people. But why is improv important to you as a theater person?
You know, coming out of school, I had never, like my traditional theater training, I had no improv experience. And, you know, when my first gig at Irondale, that I was really unprepared. And I remember one of the actors saying to me, you know, Leese, you really should take an improv class. I found it like the scariest thing. And it's funny that that's where I ran towards. You know, I'm a big fan of jazz, and I always have been, and I am in awe of musicians, and maybe I just secretly wanted to be closer to jazz musicians. No, I don't know. I mean, I think it takes a lot of guts. I think it takes a lot of intelligence to just, you know, step out into the unknown. And I guess I'm a thrill seeker. I love that rush.
You are indeed a thrill seeker. That is true. What is sound painting? You gave me a 4-second definition for this the other day that was perfect, but what is sound painting? And then I'll have you elaborate a tiny bit.
Sure. It's a sign language for live composition. So in essence, what that means is it's a series of gestures that allows a composer to communicate with a group of improvisers, be they musicians, dancers, actors, and sign to them to elicit different ways for them to improvise. So the group is composing together live in the moment.
And it really started out as a musical jazz musician language, but has grown to encompass actors, dancers, visual artists, and the language kind of means different things to different people.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so Walter Thompson is the inventor of sound painting. And yeah, he was using it with his awesome downtown band, you know, in the 80s, 90s. And that's really where I came into contact with Walter at Irondale. He was the resident composer, 92 to 94. At least that's when we got to know each other. We started rock climbing together. You might not have known that. And then, yeah, when he wanted to experiment with some actors, he called me and Josh Taylor, another actor from Irondale. And yeah, the first gig was at Lincoln Center, that outdoor festival they have in the summertime. And it was very, very rudimentary at that point. I don't even know if we really had many. I don't even remember if we really had any actor signs yet. I mean, we were actually using like placards. Yeah, I mean, he had signs for all the musicians. It wasn't soon after that we started really developing signs for actors and for theater.
We could get caught up in sound painting forever, but for everybody who's listening who doesn't know it, you're going to see it in the 2 videos that we watch. Why is Ensemble so important to you that it's in the title of your theater company?
Well, I would say, I mean, it's really at the heart of what is Strike Anywhere. So Ensemble means we work as a collective, we develop work as a collective. So I'm really a facilitator, less so than a director. So I'm setting up an environment that allows everyone's voice to be heard and part of the compositional framework. So I would say that really runs through everything we do in the classroom, in the rehearsal room. We're working collaboratively as a group to solve a problem or create a solution to some kind of challenge.
Really quickly, before we watch our first video, we're going to talk about 4 projects in particular, but are there any other Strike Anywhere projects that stuck out in your mind that we aren't going to talk about?
Yeah, I guess I would say, like, going way back, an important work from our early days was 10 Brecht Poems, and that was a collaboration that we did with NACL Theater, and specifically a 2-woman show that Tanis Kowalchuk and I created together over the course of a few years, coming right out of 9/11. We had met a few weeks earlier than that at the first NET conference that I went to, the Network of Ensemble Theaters conference up at Winnebago, up in Maine.
Yeah.
And after 9/11, Tanis approached me and said, hey, do you want to collaborate on something? I think that these poems are quite apt for this moment. And that collaboration was really an important learning experience for me. I loved working with Tanis. I learned a lot. She comes from a very different school of theater than I do. And so I really found a new approach to making work. Plus, it was just a joyful collaboration, and I really enjoyed doing the show.
Yeah.
And I think that was an important work for us because I really learned about the importance of collaborating with other ensembles and other organizations. Because we've always been a small grassroots company, it's really important to partner with other organizations, and that's how you can really multiply your reach and reach new audiences, as well as I don't know, be mightier than your small self on your own.
Well, we're going to come back and talk about NACL for a second when we talk about Same River. But what's your motto at Strike Anywhere? Brecht is taking a hammer to
art is not a mirror held up to reality, but a hammer with which to shape it. It's the Brecht.
And I always have a Brecht one in my head that I massacre, but he always said there is no act in life, not art, not love, that is apolitical. Everything is a political act. So Max, on that note, can we watch the pop-up video? Because we need some music and joy.
Great.
You don't have to be rich to be my girl. Don't have to be cool to rule my world. Ain't no particular. You don't have to be. You don't have to be. You don't. You don't have to be rich to be my girl. Don't have to be cool.
So long. Hey. Nice to see you. We've been waiting for you. Oh, that building. I remember that building, the Griffin. 1919. That was the tallest building in this neighborhood until...
Yeah, well, I heard that Lucille Ball used to live right here at the Roanoke.
You know, I heard that they used to throw dances at the tennis courts over at the park in the 30s.
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of cool?
That church right there, Lafayette Presbyterian, is haunted. I know because I slept there like 3 nights.
All right, so that was Pop-Up, which happened last October in Fort Greene, Brooklyn.
That's right.
I love that music. Did Nolan compose that piece? Was that original music?
Nolan, Rolf, and Rob. You're talking about the mini boom disco piece?
Yes, we can. Yeah, that's Strike Anywhere original music.
Yeah, with the help of Sam Harmit.
It's a web out there. So talk to us about TSO. TSO is the Tours Sound Painting Orchestra from Tours, France. And this is a collaboration that goes back for a while with Strike Anywhere on numerous occasions on numerous continents. How did that start and what has that been like?
Well, I met Angelique at a sound painting retreat in Woodstock in 2005. And the first time I really worked with her was when she brought the Walter Thompson Orchestra over to tour for a exchange, and we collaborated on a piece with the Tour Sound Painting Orchestra. I don't recall the year, but then we just kept in touch after that. And when she came and worked with us a little bit, we did an exchange between the companies when the Tour Sound Painting Orchestra came to New York to do that sound painted the opera at Irondale, the serial killers opera.
Oh yeah, that's right.
En série. And then Rolf and I collaborated with her on a benefit over in France. We were guests there. Then the TSO was guests at our 15th anniversary benefit. And then finally, she invited us to come and work on a piece called Des Rues Colbert, which is what eventually grew into being pop-up. Interview-based, site-specific promenade work where the audience moved from scene to scene, and the scenes were sound painted on the street, in windows, in plazas, etc., in the laundromat.
I was there. I was a part of that project.
Yes, you were. Yes, you were.
I can tell you firsthand that I got a shave and a haircut while being sound painted on the streets of Rue Colbert.
Yeah. I mean, we'll never forget that hairdo they gave to Nolan, which was...
Oh yeah, that was great.
Unbelievable.
We gotta press on. What is it really quickly about street theater that gets you excited?
I mean, I think it's about the inclusivity, about being able to like surprise passersby, just blast down the walls of the theater and get theater out to the people. I mean, that's what I love about it. Theater by and for the people.
What's the word in French that Angelique used? Quotidien? The normal everyday? Is that what it means?
Yeah.
That it's kind of breaking the quotidian life.
Yep.
All right, so let's look at a couple of images from Strike Anywhere pieces. The first one, I believe, is from Same River, which again, I was a part of, and thank you so much, Leese. Max, if you could throw that up on the screen, for choosing a photo that I'm in the forefront of. I actually love the background of the photo because it's so jazzy and it's out of focus, and it's Rob Hankey playing the trumpet and Donna Boutillier dancing, and I wish it was reversed and I was blurry and they were in focus. But talk about Same River and fracking, and a little bit more about NACL and how that project came to be.
Yeah, so Same River was a piece that really explored how fracking affects communities. And it was a really new format we developed for that show, where we had a container. So the scenes went in the same order, but we did intensive interviews in every place that we visited to learn how the community had been affected by fracking. And so the content of every scene really was improvised and reflected absolutely the interviews of that place, the rivers of that place, the fish that people caught in that place. So it was an interesting show because it was highly produced with video, gorgeous lights by Joe Doran, and had actual cues for those videos and lights, but it was the content of the scenes that was improvised, as well as the music and dance. So I think that was really, to me, that's one of the most perfect shows that we've done in a way, because it was so deeply integrated with the educational work that we do. We did versions at Bucknell University and JKO High School in Midtown Manhattan, where the students made their own version of the shows, and really went through the same creative process and research process that the company went through, and created their own version of the show and then performed alongside the company. So and the community partnerships in that show were also quite rich, with local environmental organizations who participated in our post-show town hall, and local artists that we contracted to create community art projects for the lobby and pre-show, so that there were many different ways for the community to come into the show. I'm really proud of that show.
I remember, I think it was at JKO, you did a project with the kids where they made a fracking, like a Frackafina water dispenser outside in the lobby, and they made water bottles filled with brown water and
fluid. Yeah.
Like that sounds like a really cool thing that would get me involved if I was in high school. Definitely. Let's look at the Bowie project really fast, because we're going to run out of time.
Okay.
I know, but the thing is, Lisa's going to come back when we do this show proper. This is a preview, so this is just an everything smorgasbord. You're going to come back and we're going to drill down on a topic. Bowie, why Bowie?
Why not? I mean, Bowie's awesome. Well, yeah, I mean, you know, great music, hard to find. I mean, we really focused on an amazing period of David Bowie music, 69 to 77. And that was a really fantastic project that was initiated by the Andrea Ariel Dance Theater. So Andrea and Colin, her husband, amazing editor and producer, they came up with this idea and invited Strike Anywhere and then a David Bowie tribute band, the Super Creeps, based in Austin, Texas. So these three groups, we collaborated together, and we did 3 different iterations of that show, 2014, 15, and 17. And that was that was a really fun project.
That's a project that I was not a part of, that I see photos of and wish that I was on stage. Yeah, I mean, that was a cool project just because we had so many palettes, so pre-rehearsed, songs. Explain that really fast for our last video that we're going to watch in a second. What's a palette in sound painting terms?
Yeah, so a palette is anything that's pre-rehearsed. So a piece of choreography, a piece of music, a monologue that the sound painter can call up in the sound painting and then mess with or remix live on the spot.
And you were saying the other day, you were calling up like verse 2, song 14, like it was really specific.
Yeah. So I could call up like sound and vision, Bowie tune, and I could call up the bridge, the chorus, verse 2. So we could get very specific, or I could have the musician maybe have percussion improvised with the bridge, and then we isolated specific interviews with Bowie from the year that song was written and produced, and created themes for each tune that the actor could riff on. And the dancers created choreography that was connected to those interviews and that theme for that particular tune.
So when we watch that video in just 1 minute, it's going to play us out. Just everybody realize it's improvised. It is totally improvised, but they have palettes that they're calling upon, that Leese is calling upon, so that she can pick and choose from things that have been rehearsed, and how they fit together and get organically developed is another story. Last photo, really fast, windows and mirrors. We're going to talk about education for 2 minutes, and then we're going to let everybody go. I know we didn't start till 9:05, but tell us about this project really fast. Tell us, I know that you have worked a lot. This is not Manhattan International High School, but it's a school that's associated with that. And Strike Anywhere has done a bunch of work with international high schools and recent immigrants to the US who have a lot of language and cultural difficulties. And I wonder how you got into that and why that's so important to Strike Anywhere.
Yeah, so the photo that you're looking at is from the International High School of Health Sciences, where we've had a partnership for the last 4 years. It's a sister school to Manhattan International, where we've worked since the late 90s. And these schools serve immigrants who've just recently arrived to the United States, so within the last 4 years. So the focus of these schools, and they're New York City public schools, I think there's 13 of them in the international network, and they're small schools, smartly run, all about language acquisition. So we as the theater partner are using theater to help students learn how to communicate more effectively in English. And we've done many different kinds of projects, but Windows and Mirrors is a project where students, they see a show performed live by our ensemble. In this case, this year, we've recorded that show, so they are seeing it virtually, a film version. So it's live stories, real stories by the performers from their real lives. And then the students work with a playwright and an actor to craft their own stories from their lives, and then work on performing them as a solo monologue. And then by the end of the residency with the teaching artist, they perform their own stories, either live or this year on video.
And I've always said, as a teacher, I, on a good day, learn more than my students do, but I'm sure that you've learned more from those students than you could ever teach them. Not to take anything away from you.
Yeah, no, it's an amazing environment. They're from, all over the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, I learn a lot.
Okay, so 15 seconds each. You got quick answers, 3 questions, and then we got to wrap it up.
Sure.
What the hell is going on politically?
Oh, geez. 15 seconds, complete maelstrom, shit tornado.
Shit tornado. It's like
Yeah.
shark tornado. It's like a shit-nado.
Yeah, but thank God, the monster is not back for 4 years.
Oh, Lord Jesus. Are you an optimist or a pessimist?
Optimist, usually.
And in the context of this conversation, do you think you're more radical normal or more normal radical?
I knew you were going to ask me this, and I can't categorize myself. I'm sorry, Damen. I'm leave that to the academics and the critics. Call me what you want. I'm categorization fluid.
Don't put me in a box.
Yeah.
She, her, hers. All right, I get it. So everybody, next week we're going to be back at the same time. Leese, I hope I haven't left anything untied that we need to tie up. But if
all good.
We did, I'll talk to you tomorrow and we'll make amends. I never said at the top of the show that this show is about ensemble, theater, social justice, the climate crisis, education, sustainable urban planning, and maybe a little bit of sports, all with politics underneath. And I think that you encapsulated most of that today. Next week, same time, Jim Neeson is going to be here. He's the artistic director of the Irondale Ensemble project, and I've known him even longer than I've known Leese. Go check out our website, www.radicalnormal.net. You can get information about all of our shenanigans, and you can find information about Strike Anywhere also. And this Bowie clip, anything to set it up? We're going to send you off with a little bit of David Bowie. This is sound painted. This is improv. This is in Austin, Texas from 3 years ago. Sign us off, Leese.
We are all a facet of David Bowie. We are not impersonating him. The idea was a mirror fractured and we're all one shard.
Those are words to remember our first episode by. So peace out. Hopefully we'll see you next week. Thank you so much, Leese Walker.
Thank you, Damen.
You're the best. Enjoy this clip from the Bowie Project.
sniff, glass of milk, tra-la-la-la-la-la-la.
Shade.
Yeah.
Throw the shades.
Leave my mind alone.
Shades.
I will sit right down and get a fucking grip, David.
Shades. Sit right down. Sit right down. Listen. Listen.
It is the side effects of the cocaine, and they're awful.
Waiting. Waiting. Waiting.
Sometimes you stumble across a few chords that put you in a reflective place. And sometimes I stare for hours out my pale little window at a very ugly wall the peacefuls built to remind you of who won the war.